They say there's a place in the north where a light post stands tall, a place so unique the snow doesn't fall. The locals will wonder while workers prepare about what they have in store for Christmas this year. Something different, of course, one of a kind. It's exactly the thing that you've had in mind.
Yep, I think the last 2 years of districts, 2 years ago we beat Decatur, a big upset in the semis. And then last year we were down 24 points going, I think we hit a 3 at the buzzer. So we were down 21 going into the fourth quarter of districts. And just the fight that we showed in resiliency at that point, if we would have had 2 more minutes in that game, I think we would have overcome them. But I think it's changed how we're going to play defense this year. Personally for me, I like a pack line defense, a sag defense, shut down the drive. And you can do that and do well against other teams, but when then you have a team that plays, right on you, you're not used to it. So that's what we're challenging our kids with right now is, we have to be that type of defender in practice so that when we get to a game, we're either used to it or it's a sag defense and then we really adjust to that. So that's something that we've changed as a coaching staff, and it's, if there's a shot clock, it's a different situation, but it's not. So you got to play for a tough defense. So that's what we've changed in practice, in becoming that tough defense so that we're not caught off guard in a game when we get to that point. Breaking down little stuff even more. Like in our scrimmage, I went through and told everyone what their box out percentage was. So that's going through, 300 reps and saying, hey, you boxed out this. And it wasn't very good in our scrimmage. And that's something that, we'll continue to work on because it happens 300 times a game, whereas other things don't. So it's just kind of prioritizing the things that happen a lot. So defensively, we want to be solid, we want to be sound. We'll play a lot of man early on just because we want to make sure we're playing that correctly and before we get into zones. And offensively, I'm not going to say that we're going to slow it down because we have a lot of weapons. Even looking at it and saying, okay, who's our starting lineup? It's like I could choose from nearly every. We are so deep and so versatile that it's crazy. I think this year it's going to be different every game. We have a number of kids. I wouldn't even eliminate, I'd say at least 8 kids that could be leading scorer in any different game. And it's, depending who's starting or depending who's working the rotation or who's hitting that day. That's the nice thing is that sometimes when you have 8 kids, you're stuck with these 8 if that's your whole team. Whereas we have 12 that if someone's struggling that day, we say, hey, today's not your day, look to do this. So our leading returning scorers right now are probably the Carlys, Carly Odom, Carly Todd. But it's not something that we're only pushing them to count on for scoring. We're counting on everybody. And that's where we've got height, we've got outside shooting, we've got inside penetration. We have so many weapons that, different things, different point guards, Skylar and Carly Odom playing at point guard and distributing the ball inside or outside, wherever the defense, whatever they're giving us or whatever we're creating. That's something too that we need to do is we need to create what we want because I think, will be the stronger teams in many games we go into. I think right now we're adapting to what the defense does. We are, adjusting what we do. If somebody is playing really tight, we're looking to drive, and that's something we couldn't drill into kids before. We're like, you have to do this, and they're just responding that way. Depending what the other team is doing, we're reacting appropriately, which is something that we didn't have in the past. So we're looking forward to that. How we move the ball, we're moving the ball well, protecting the ball better, I think, and that's going to be very helpful and very beneficial to have that. Just fluid movement, getting the ball around the court too, and then it's taking the best shot for the best person. I think going into it, Bronson definitely returns a lot of, they had a young team last year and they, coming off the state championship, again, they have a winning mentality. It's a different sport, but that carries over. So Bronson's definitely going to be, a strong contender. Mendon always is, even when I think they're not going to be a great team. They always put together a good group on the floor. White Pigeon, I think they graduated quite a bit. Cass, they have a new coach and they have good athletes, so that's always depends what they do. New Buffalo has a good returner in their team last year, and I think we can be right up there. I think we can contend for that. I think us and Bronson would be the 2 I would choose now that would contend, and I think our success for the season will depend a lot on, kids embracing, like everyone says, their role. because it's going to be very different roles. It's going to be, one game you might play this, one game you might play this, and can you accept that? And can you keep the team success above individual? It's got to be, everyone's got to be in for that. The new players, some of them we kind of talked to them and said, do you want the experience in varsity or do you want game time? And all the ones that we offered to said we want to go against, the varsity players and get better and have that challenge. And there are some tall kids. I took probably 4 starters from our JV team that would have started. We have a freshman up, Joanna Larson, who's the tallest kid I've coached. I think she's the tallest kid that's been in the program for the last 10 years, maybe longer. She's about 6 foot, maybe 5'11", but moves well. I mean, that younger group, they just, they're basketball smart. They play well together. They just know the game. And we just have a lot of height this year. If I have 3 players I could put down in a 2-3 zone and they cover 18 feet with their wingspan. Like, that's not real common in high school girls basketball, and we have a lot of height in that regard.